Hello and welcome. This is News Central now on News Central TV. My name is Kofi Bartels. We begin news this hour in West Africa, where the expected arraignment of the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, over alleged procurement fraud to the tune of 6.9 billion naira has again been stalled. The matter was not listed on the case list of a Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja on Wednesday. No reason was given for this, and lawyers to both parties involved were absent. The suspended CBN governor, who appeared before the court last Thursday, was supposed to be docked, but the arraignment was reportedly stalled due to the absence of the second defendant, who was said to have been indisposed. Well, joining us live in the studio tonight to take a further look at this is human rights lawyer Festus Ogun. Festus Ogun, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, this is another arraignment of Godwin Emefiele, who is the suspended central bank governor. What do you make of this?
I mean, first, I think it's a reflection on how our criminal justice system is in the country. You see a situation where a person who is accused of a crime, charged to court, gets to spend years without a solution. Look, let me tell you, there was a matter I did earlier today in court. My client was arrested and arraigned sometime around this time last year. I'm telling you, up to this moment, we've not started trial. For me, it's just a sad narrative of how dysfunctional our criminal justice system has become. And it also shows that it's become quite difficult to get justice in this country. Not just justice for maybe the federal government, but equally justice for the people of Nigeria. Today, again, we've seen how Emefiele's trial has been stalled, but there are, rumors or indications out there that the suspended CBN governor is opting for plea bargain. At the end of the day, who is at loss? That's a question begging for answer. Is it the Nigerian people or Emefiele? If, they start the arrangement where the people who should ordinarily go to jail for crimes committed against humanity, especially during the Naira scarcity era, will at the end of the day get to go scot-free. And look, one important point that we have to make is this, that at the end of the day, the whole trial, the whole travels of Emefiele is in the interest of who? It seemed to me that the whole arrangement is just a sort of wish hunt from perceived enemies or opponents of Emefiele. I do not see a sense of sincerity or purpose on the part of the federal government. If not, he was earlier arraigned or arrested and arraigned for crimes, alleged crimes relating to procurement of arms. Now the federal government has withdrawn that charge because it was obviously baseless.
Okay, first, it's quite interesting. Someone talked about delay tactics. The case was moved, was drawn, the charges in Lagos to Abuja, and now we have this delay. Before I go to the next question, you talked about dysfunctional justice system. Where is this coming from? Is it from lack of political will by the executive? Is it from poor performance by the investigative and law enforcement agencies, or are we talking, the judiciary, when we look at where this dysfunction in the legal system in Nigeria is coming from?
Well, when we talk about the dysfunctional criminal justice system, we are not talking about the courts alone. We are talking about the police. We are talking about EFCC and other security agencies. We are talking about the SSS. We are talking about lawyers. We are also talking about a prison system that allows for a snail pace or slow pace, administration of criminal justice. I mean, for me, I do not think that the federal government is ready. I do not think the federal government is serious about the prosecution of Emefiele. I think the interest of the federal government is simply the persecution of Emefiele, because when you look at it critically, you will see again how the federal government has been violating the extant provisions of law in respect of keeping an accused person in custody beyond the time contemplated by law. The provision of section 34 and 35 of the Constitution is clear that you cannot keep a suspect beyond 24 or 48 hours as the case may be. And what happens in this case? Emefiele was kept beyond the time contemplated by law. Same with Bawa, who is currently in the custody of the SSS. Yet, the government is not charging him to court. The case of Emefiele was charged to court. The court granted him bail. Now SSS turned around and said they are not going to obey the order of the court because a magistrate had, issued a warrant of arrest against him. The question is, Emefiele has been with them for such a long time before he was arraigned. When did they approach the court? Did they approach the court to procure a court order to arrest someone that was already in their custody? So it also shows, in my respectful view, that the federal government of Nigeria under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu might not be committed to the rule of law. Because if they are indeed committed to the rule of law, a court of competent jurisdiction has granted Emefiele's bail.
Okay, but let's move on. But so they've argued, the spokesperson for the SSS, Owaja, put out a statement saying I think 2 days after Emefiele was granted bail, they approached a magistrate court. After they approached the High Court, and the High Court refused to give them, an order or permission to hold him for, I think, 16 days, if I'm not mistaken. They went to a magistrate court and they got that. But that's something that needs to be debated. You've talked about the option of Emefiele, or decision, there's a rumor out there, to settle out of court with the federal government. You talked about a plea bargain, which is not unknown to the methods of the EFCC in particular, but this is DSS we're talking about. Is this, how just give us an explanation and help us understand this. How realistic is this according to Nigerian law?
Well, as far as I know, plea bargain is known to the Nigerian law. And that usually happens when the accused person is guilty. The accused person is saying, oh, instead of charging me for all of these crimes, let's pick the lesser one. I will plead to it. There will be fines, or I will forfeit some of the assets that have been, recovered from me. And that will be the end of it. At the end of the day, if Emefiele opts for plea bargain, at the end of the day, who is at loss? That's a question that agitates my mind as a lawyer and as a citizen of this country. Who is at loss? It is the Nigerian people. Because the facts in public disposal is that there are allegations of misappropriation of funds, not just that, issues of procurement, that were not done in compliance with the rules and policies in the Central Bank of Nigeria. These are very serious issues that shouldn't be taken lightly. But at the end of the day, if Emefiele opts for plea bargain and the federal government accepts it, then before you know it, Emefiele becomes a free man who walks on the streets without any consequences. And at the end of the day, we keep asking, why is our country the way it is?
All right.
The simple reason, sir, is because there are no consequences for impunity. If a poor man steals Maggi in the market, the poor man will be stoned, if not to death, although illegally. But when a rich man steals billions of naira, if not trillions of naira, from public coffers, we begin to hear the word plea bargain. We begin to hear the word, we begin to hear a lot of.
We have to leave it at that. But interesting way for you to end, your analysis of this development. We'll keep monitoring it, and hopefully we have you back with us on the news to do some more analysis. Festus Ogun is a human rights lawyer, and he joined us live from Lagos.
Thank you for having me.